Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Finland popped up in a story. Several people sent it to me because they knew it would catch my attention also, not just because of the Finland aspect, but also because a metal detector was mentioned in the story. But I actually waited to see, and sure enough, my friends at the Finnish American Reporter, okay? Yes, there's such a thing, and yes, I do subscribe. The Finnish American Reporter is a newspaper put out for Finnish Americans, and it's published by the people of the Finnish American Heritage Center at Finland University in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And that's a school where my grandfather was a dean back when it was called Suomi College from 1961 and going further back. He was there for quite a few years. But the story is, class ring found decades later in Finnish forest. So the ring was found in a forest in Finland by someone with a metal detector. But the story, of course, would not be that interesting, except that the ring got there. How? We don't know. Out of Brunswick, Maine is the story. The Bangor Daily News published it. The Finnish American Reporter reprinted the story with permission. A Morse high school class ring lost in Portland in the fall of 1973 just turned up 8 inches down in a Finnish forest. So guys with metal detectors like myself will often talk about how deep we find things, because things tend to sink over time. Stuff near the surface is usually more recent. Stuff further down is usually older. And a lot of it has to do with whether the ground is disturbed or not. But out in a city park, for instance, if you find something that's deeper, it's usually going to be older, unless something strange has happened where the soil's been disturbed. But how it got there after 47 years, no one knows. Deborah McKenna is now 63 years old. She lost the ring when she was in high school. And she says, there was a lot of weeping when I learned that someone found it and made the effort to reach out and find me. The ring arrived in the mail at her house in Brunswick in early February, and it had belonged to her boyfriend, Sean, whom she dated all through high school and college. She was 21 when they married in 1977. The couple remained together for 40 years until Sean passed away in 2017 after a 6-year fight with cancer. He first asked me out on Valentine's Day, 1973. She said, he left a note in my coat pocket at school. They had their first date 3 days later on a Friday night, going to a party at the Phipsburg Grange Hall, and she was, at the time, 16 years old. He was president of the senior class, and Sean gave her his ring later that year before heading off to college, and she said she lost the ring that fall. It wasn't long after I got it, she admits. She remembers exactly how it happened. She and a friend went to a department store in Portland. The building was now being used as the Maine College of Art, but she went to the restroom and she took it off to wash her hands. And she set the ring aside, and it slipped her mind. She walked off without it, and she ran back later, and it was gone. I left my name and number at the store, but never got contacted, and she said I never saw it again. She was upset, and of course she was kind of scared to tell her boyfriend, but when she did, he was not mad. He said, it's just a ring. Marry that man. McKenna said he was cool with it. They had a good life together, living all over the country. She works as a hairdresser. He was an entrepreneur and adjunct college professor. They had 3 kids. There will be a 3rd grandchild soon. I feel very lucky. I count my blessings every day. He was such a giving person, a deeply good person. The ring was forgotten until last month when a man in Finland contacted the Morse High School Alumni Association hoping to locate the ring's owner. According to a newspaper story in Finland, Marko Saarinen was using a metal detector in a forested city park in Karina, a small town in southwest Finland. Saarinen was excited when the ring first popped out of the ground because, he said he digs a lot of bottle caps and junk. We all do. The Alumni Association had no trouble identifying the ring's owner because it was a 1973 graduation date and it was engraved with the initials SM, and he had no middle name, and no one else in the class, of course, had those initials. McKenna had no idea how the long-lost ring ended up in Finland. No one knows. She said that Sean did spend some time working in Finland 20 years after the ring was lost, but that was nowhere near the city where the ring was found. That's just a weird coincidence, apparently. And in addition to that strange coincidence, the mascot of the high school for the ring is the Shipbuilders. And that's written on the side of the ring. And guess what the man does for a living who found the ring? He is, in fact, a shipbuilder. Sean used to say there's no such thing as coincidences, she said. With that in mind, she thinks Sean might be trying to tell her something. McKenna said she's felt adrift in the 2 years since Sean's death, and the sudden reappearance of the ring might be a message that everything lost is eventually found. And this is her quote: "He's telling me to get my act together, to get going with the rest of my life." McKenna hasn't spoken to Saarinen yet, but the Alumni Association sent him a Morris High School hoodie in thanks. McKenna said it's very touching in this world of negativity to have decent people step forward and make an effort. There are good people in the world, and we need more of them. Amen, sister. You might ask, Steve, have you ever found any jewelry with your metal detector? I found some, and I save almost everything I find with my detector, but I found a lot of like little rings like that. That's a silver ring. That's sterling. But the only reason I find rings, if they're sterling, is that they ring oftentimes like coins, so I dug it up. And I have a few others, and these are all sterling. And the funny thing I realize now is that I've got extremely fat fingers, because most of these rings will only fit on my pinky. I've got one here that I don't think will actually fit. Nope, won't even fit on my pinky. Well, it'll fit on that one, but it's a tough call. Another one. Oh, that might fit, but it might get, well, yeah, there we go. Hang on. Let's put that one over here. Don't want bad things to happen. I found one of these little guys, but so that'll go on there too. But yeah, so I found, I guess if you added all of this up, this might be, there you go. I don't know if that's even an ounce of silver. Probably not. But most of them are kind of tarnished from having been in the ground. But a few of them are stamped sterling, and the rest I can just tell. You can tell by the color of the patina of that metal that is in fact sterling silver. So I found a few rings, but nothing cool like that. I know people who have, and there's a code in the metal detecting groups that if you find an identifiable piece of jewelry like that, you do try to return it. I've known guys who've returned some class rings, but I've never heard anything that cool. All these years later, popping up on the other side of the planet, more or less, at least across the ocean. So great story out of Finland and Maine. So there you go. Questions, comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Magic is always better, shrouded in mystery.